Hey, good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Cosmos with Robin. It's Robin Fritz. We are live in Seattle, Washington on this last day of April 2018. So today I want to talk a little bit about how easy it is to connect with nature and why we would want to. Plus, I am also going to give two quick readings for volunteers. People who would like a quick reading, please type in your name and a quick description of what you'd like me to take a look at. We're also going to do a guided meditation with Fallon. Crystal, love all for chiming in. I appreciate it. So today, again, I want to talk about how easy it is to make a connection with nature. And first, I want to start out, as I do each week, with a quick guided meditation with the Crystal Fallon. Fallon is a citrine Lemurian quartz, which is a very rare form of quartz. And, here he looks clear. Sometimes he'll have that faint yellowish cast, which is the citrine in him. But when we connect with Fallon here in this half hour, it's helping us connect together better as a community, and it will help you tap into your own intuitive and healing skills. So however your intuition works will be how you connect with him in this meditation. So if you take your attention to the top of the head, we're connecting mind, body, and spirit, and just focus for a minute here on how you might want to connect with nature. So as you breathe down from the top of your head to your bottom of your feet, let's just let that clear out all the cares of the day and everything that it took to get here in this space together with all of us. And just imagine you're going to clear out blocks and fill yourself up with healthy energy. So as you breathe down from the top of your head, down your face, your shoulders, your chest, your hips, your knees, and your feet, and the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Just feel that quickly whoosh through your body, clearing out all the cares of the day. And now, as you breathe up from the bottom of your feet, you can welcome this healing energy that Fallon brings. Welcome it in. Imagine it going to your heart, and with each beat of your heart, just filling you up with healthy, positive energy. So moving up from your feet, past your knees, your hips, your chest, your shoulders, your face, your third eye, and your crown chakra, the top of your head. So I caution everyone that sometimes people feel lightheaded in this time with Fallon because that's how your intuition works. We'll close you down at the end of the half hour so that you can go about your day and not feel lightheaded. But today I really wanted to tap into quickly talking about our connection with nature, and then share this really awesome story of how I goofed up in my connection with nature and how we can all learn from that. But, first, it's spring here in Seattle. It's spring in the Northern Hemisphere. And I know some of you are chiming in from different parts of the world. So if it's winter there, a little bit different. But I wanted to address going out and about and really connecting with nature. And we can do this all year long, but I find it really easy and really extra fun to connect with nature in spring. So if it's winter where you are, make a few notes and put a note on your calendar that when spring comes, you want to go out and try this. So the question comes up, why would you want to connect with nature? And my response to that is, why wouldn't you? Because I happen to enjoy connecting with everything I meet out there. But really what I've learned in the years of having this really personal relationship with the world around me is that it really helps me learn and respect the world around me, and really a sense of awe and reverence for how amazing the world is. But it also helps me value myself. And I find clients, and especially workshop attendees, when we're going out and about and connecting intuitively with nature in workshops, really learn to appreciate nature on a different level than we're used to thinking. It also helps us, think about the contribution that we can make to the world. And it also adds to our soul growth and our self-love, which is why we came into bodies in the first place. So here's how I'd suggest you go out and about and connect with nature. Now, I've been doing this with 20 years with my dogs, all different Cavalier King Charles Spaniels. But really, if you have a dog, that's great. Also kind of a disguise. If you want to go out and have a conversation with a tulip and you don't want your neighbors to think you're a little different, a dog's a good disguise for that. But also out and about walking with our dogs, we really learn to appreciate how they're appreciating the world around them. I have seen the insides of more flowers over the last 20 years than I ever imagined I would see in my lifetime. And out and about with my dog, there's no electronics. I keep my cell phone in my pocket in case of an emergency, but it's really turned off. And I urge you to go out, even if you don't have a dog, unplug your electronics and just go out and be in nature. Because when you're out on that walk and you're connecting with the world around you, I guarantee you're going to have a different relationship to your own personal life when you go back inside. So here's what you do. Stop and introduce yourself to a budding tree or a tulip or the grass or whatever you happen to be going by. And recognize that nature is always awake and it's just waiting for an opportunity to connect with you. And that reminds us that we don't always do that. We always are kind of living in isolation as humans. And that's not a good thing for us. It kind of tends to dampen our connection to other humans as well as to nature itself and particularly to ourselves. So when you think about it, we're walking around every day all stressed out, depressed. We're worried about something. We're feeling that we're not good enough, right? I'm not good enough for this. I'm not good enough for that. And we're also feeling cut off from other people. And there are certainly ways to get around that. Last night I was at a local meetup and having fun meeting new people. It's always great to connect with other humans. But you can connect with nature at any time you want. And I promise you that it will change, that you'll get a deeper respect for the world around you. You'll relieve some of the stress of just daily life. And it'll boost you up for whatever's waiting for you at home and at work. And it'll give you new ideas on dealing with friends and family and coworkers. And it's a lot of fun. Out and about with my dogs, I watch them interact with nature. And if we're not tugging on them, dragging them down the street and we've got our electronics turned off, noticing how they relate to nature is really kind of awe-inspiring, because we often think that an animal's life is very simple, and yet you're looking at the complex relationships, how they view the flowers and the bushes around them. It's really fascinating, and it gives us some idea of the sense of the flow of life. And I know if you're going through a crisis or you're dealing with loss and grief, recognizing that the world goes on and we go on with it is really part of the comforting aspect of continuing to grow and to move on in the world, plus the awe and wonder that you'll experience of just introducing yourself to nature. You acquire a different a deeper respect for it. So look at it as how your intuition works. So I'm a combination of seeing, feeling, hearing, and knowing. And because I work with clients a lot, I'm hearing a lot. So I will go out and, like, hello, tulip, how are you? Or so on. And it's really just fun to see what you're going to get back from nature. Sometimes you're really having this moment of connection, which is amazing, because it's sometimes very hard, as you know, to connect with other humans. And I know from hearing from clients and different people who connect with me here on Facebook and other places, there are a lot of us out there who are just really lonely. And part of that reconnecting with others is connecting with nature and bringing in that whole being aspect of ourselves that we tend to forget. But I also want to give you a fair warning on that, because nature is ready to greet us. And sometimes we may not actually approach it in Judy, awesome, that's great. Yes, talk to your flowers. They they talk about how you talk to your plants and your plants grow better. I've been saying for 10 years now that my jade tree is 55 years old. So I really don't know how old Raymond the jade is. But he lives all over Seattle because we're always taking cuttings of him and moving him around. And people get back to me on how different they feel with that piece of jade tree in their homes. But here's a story I want to share with you on how I forgot how to be respectful to nature. So it might give you some ideas on going out and about in the neighborhood. And so, yes, I live at the beach here in Seattle, and I'm out and about talking to things all the time. And I'm used to it, and my neighbors are used to me. It's like, oh God, what is she doing now kind of thing. And some of them will cross the street because they just can't figure out how to talk to me when I'm busy talking with a bush or exploring what's going on. So that's kind of funny, right? You can talk to nature in your head, connect with nature in your head, and do that mind, body, spirit connection that really helps. But some years ago, my first two Cavaliers and I were down in Oregon, in the Cannon Beach area on the Oregon coast with a friend. And down in Cannon Beach or down along the Oregon coast, and in particular, they grow really big trees down there because they get a lot of rain. And we pulled over on the side of the road, and I happen to love Douglas fir trees, which are native to the Northwest. They're huge, gigantic trees, and we pulled over in a rest area, and I wanted to go, just touch this big Douglas fir tree. So I left everybody in the car, and I went up to this Douglas fir, and this Douglas fir tree is so huge around, 5 people couldn't connect hands around that tree and get all the way around it. That's how huge the tree was. So I went up to it, and I was all excited to meet a giant Douglas fir tree, and I reached out to put my hands on it, and a foot away from the tree, I was literally stopped in my tracks. And I was like, whoa, what just happened here? And I looked down, and I was leaning forward. I was leaning forward at an angle that if I had not been touching something, I would have fallen, except I was not touching anything. It was an energy barrier from the tree itself holding me away from it, a foot away from the tree. And I was like, oh my gosh, and I pulled myself back, and I stopped, and I apologized to the Douglas fir tree. I said, I'm sorry. I know better than to touch without permission. I'm sorry. I just was excited to meet you. And the tree was like, yes, you should know better. And, that's rude. I mean, and really, we wouldn't go up to another human and go, hey, how are you? Kind of thing, with a perfect stranger. And the tree said, well, it's okay now, it's fine. And let's just connect. And so then it allowed me to reach forward and touch itself, the bark of the tree. And it was a real lesson to me. And I hope it's a reminder to you that everything is alive out there. Everything has a soul and consciousness and a job to do and a choice about doing the job and attitudes and opinions. Just like that gigantic Douglas fir tree. It then welcomed me and invited me to bring my dogs over to meet it. And so now I have a picture of me sitting by the tree with my 2 dogs, and you could see how huge the tree is behind me. But I use that tree and that picture of that tree as a constant reminder of connecting with nature and being respectful of nature. But when you go out and do this, it isn't an idle experiment. I promise you that if you go out and just be yourself and be relaxed and just enjoy going for a walk, you will reduce your stress levels. If you're depressed, which a lot of people are these days because we're not as connected with other people as we'd like, it will boost you up because we are not alone in the world. All of nature is part of the world with us. And the biggest problem humans have with the world around us is that we've forgotten that we really are connected with nature and the world around us. And it's willing to support us and to teach us and to learn with us new ways of connecting with the world around us. And that's how we're going to move forward in the world and make our contributions as individuals and help leave the world a better place for those coming along behind us. So that's what I wanted to share with you today about, connecting with nature in an easy way. And I'm welcoming, if you asked me a couple questions here, I missed them, but I'm willing to take a couple people. Let's have two people who would like a quick intuitive reading. Type something in. Linda, hi, haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for joining us. A quick question, make a very specific question, and I can see if I can get some information for you on that question. But I'd also like to share with you the crystal of the week, which I chose today to really help you connect with nature around you. And this, you can get a good picture of it here. This is moss agate. And my radio sponsor, Kim Valines, mentioned moss agate, I think on the last radio show that she was on with me. And I had to go out and get a piece from her. This is a tiny piece of moss agate, but it's really great for connecting with nature. In fact, it's one of the ideal crystals for connecting with nature. But it also helps if you have sensitivities to things like electronics or chemicals or environmental hazards or even just allergies. So moss agate is a good support for your immune system as well as connecting with nature, because it helps reduce your sensitivity to pollution, which if you live in a big city is an issue for you, but it also boosts your self-esteem. It counters fear and stress, so it's really a great crystal to carry with you when you're out on that walk, because you're not just connecting with nature on that walk, you're connecting more deeply with yourself. Okay, Judy, are you and Bob going to stay there or move? Hang on, we'll get to that. And also moss agate. Linda, what do you and your spouse need, or your housemates need to do for, let's see, house and land there. Okay, I've got my questions for today. Thank you all for participating. And I'll talk about how you can find me for other questions coming up. So moss agate also boosts your optimism and, helps deal with depression, promotes inspiration and self-expression. So if you're doing a creative project, or even if you're going to work and coming up with team building ideas, great for communication. So keep moss agate around for connecting with nature and boosting your own creative aspects. So, Judy, I actually do see you moving. As soon as you brought that question up, I do see you and Bob moving, and I see a lot of green space around you. So, but a small place it's kind of like a small house and a bigger green spot. So there's either a small house with a big garden around it, or maybe a park next door. But it feels like the both of you are really drawn to being closer to nature, which is great for this week's topic. It could be a small apartment, like like a mother-in-law apartment in a house. But it's like you don't really need a lot of things around you. You two are doing really great together. And it seems like just a small place for you to hang out so that you can travel more together. And oh my gosh, have you ever considered like an RV? Like I have friends that have a huge RV, and it's like, oh my God, how do you even get that around the corner? But that might be a possibility too, traveling and camping in your RV. Which brings up Yellowstone National Park and Steamboat Geysers erupted 3 times in the last month, which is pretty amazing. Nature is really always on the move at Yellowstone. I try to do an annual retreat there for people to connect with their intuition, to connect with nature, and to connect with a creative project. Pretty awesome place to just get away from everyday life and be in a different environment. But Yellowstone is really alive and awake right now. And it isn't just spring, it's going through some sort of, I would say, growth process. But, well, we're not too happy about Yellowstone going through a growth process. Doesn't feel violent or dangerous. Oh, good, Judy. Let me know if you decide to go RVing, what they call glamping. My idea of traveling is not camping, but, Hilton's, because I'm really lazy and want somebody else to do the work. But it just feels like you guys are going to be on the move and you're just going to laugh the whole time. Linda, your question is, what do you need to do for your house and land? I feel a lot of stuck energy where you're at, and it's nobody's fault. It feels like that's been there for a long time. Go out and do what I suggested. Have a conversation with it. Walk the land just openly. If you've got moss agate or clear quartz, works great too. And pretty much everybody starts a crystal collection with quartz. So I bet you have some quartz in the house. Walk the land holding that and ask the crystal to give you an idea of what's going on the land. The beings that are there naturally are a little bit out of sorts. It feels like people are thinking about, I missed that question. Oh, that was Judy. Cool. It feels like there's some outside influence on the land, or that there might be some people talking about developing the land that you're living on now or nearby. So I don't know if you're looking to move or being asked to move. But it's always good to do some clearing of the space. I call my space clearing modality space cooperating. And that ties into today's theme too. I will go and ask the space what it needs and wants from us. If it has any issues, what those issues are, what's holding it back from being its best self. And we can get a lot of great information from a space by doing that. And what I do then is I ask the people to tell me, what is it you want and need from the space? And then I'll go to the space and say, hey, here's what your people need and want. Here's what's happening there. What can you add to this? So that it's actually bringing the space and the people together in cooperation, which is why I call it space cooperating. Amazing things come by asking our homes, the land around us, what it needs and wants for us. Because when we create a home, when we move into an apartment, when we buy a condo or a house, wherever we're in that moment, or Judy, you're traveling in an RV, that space that you are in for that day or the next few days, that is your home. And so that immediately becomes a nurturing space. So what your space needs, Linda, is for you to reestablish that connection where it's nurturing you and you are nurturing it. So I like Copal, C-O-P-A-L, for a clearing tool to use. It's people call it Mexican frankincense. It's a resin grown in Mexico. Frankincense is a good clearing tool too. Certainly your crystals. But just sit with that space and invite it to clear energetically. I don't see any attachments in a real heavy negative way. I just see a need to connect more deeply with the land. So try that. Try using your crystals and inviting the space to tell you what it needs. And then moving forward with a space clearing to help the energies keep moving. And let me know how that works for you, and you too, Judy. So I want to thank everyone for joining me today. Truly, if you go out and just have this fun, easygoing connection with nature, I promise you, you will feel better. If you're depressed and out of sorts, if you need a boost of good, healthy energy, all that's going to happen because you're out there being physically active. But it's also going to happen because when we come into bodies, we also come in to create a relationship with all life around us. And we humans in the last 300 years have kind of forgotten that. We're really busy in our daily lives. And when you take that time out, you're going to just feel better, and nature's going to feel better, and spring will come wherever you are. But everything is so alive and moving right now, if spring is where you are, where you're living, that it's really easy to connect. And so you're going to have lots of fun. So do that. Share your experiences next week here on Facebook Live with us. And then this afternoon, my radio show at 2 Pacific time, 5 Eastern at owntimes.com radio. My show is The Practical Intuitive Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. Today we're going to have a lot of fun because an author an artist, an intuitive and Reiki master. Her name is Elaine Clayton, is going to talk about her books about fairies and angels. So what do they have to do with us? And I know we're going to share some fun stories. I have some weird stories about fairies, but you can pretty much count on me to have the weird experiences. So also, we're in the middle of a 5-week course on how to develop strong energy boundaries and how our energy boundaries are affected by first us not knowing that we have them, an energy field around us, and also our daily experiences and how going out in nature helps boost up your energy boundaries so that we can be the nurturers that we need to be in our families as well as nurturing ourselves. It's not too late to join that webinar series. You can find it at the experts platform at Learn It Live. The connections are there for you there in the comments. But I appreciate everyone joining in. I appreciate your comments. I'm here for you each week. It is my honor and privilege. And I would appreciate a little bit of help from you. If you like these broadcasts, please like the Om Times page, the magazine page, the Om Times radio page, this page, Humanity Healing, the Om Times Institute pages. That helps keep Om Times going, and they're pretty awesome. And also, if you go to my page, The Practical Intuitive, Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World is the radio show. The Practical Intuitive, Robin M. Fritz is my business page. I appreciate likes on my page as well. I do work as a professional intuitive and spiritual consultant and past life regression specialist. So I offer personal and business intuition, mediumship, helping you connect to your deceased human and animal family members and friends, animal communication, space clearing. I can do that on Skype. But I also do past life and between life regression, spiritual awakening, soul journeys, all that include energy healing, removing the blocks that are holding you back. And you can find my services at my website, robinfritz.com. That's ROBYNFRITZ.com. So go out and have fun exploring nature, having your own really awesome connection, and let me know how that feels to you, because I know from personal experience, unless you're like moving in unexpectedly and rudely to a Douglas fir tree like I did, take the lesson from me to say hello to something first and ask if you can connect with it, just like you would with a human. But you're going to find such a boost in your sense of humor, in your connection with the world around you, and this is going to make you even better at home and at work. Because remember, we came into bodies to grow our souls, to grow in self-love. And this is one really great way to do it, as well as a way to have a whole lot of fun. So I want to thank you for joining us today. And let's close down with this healing meditation, they're clearing stuff out. Yes, I do. It's Akashic Records is just Edgar Casey's name for past life regression. So yes, I can do that. You can also find me at the Best Psychic Directory online. So thanks for that question. And cross your hands on your heart, breathe into your heart, and just imagine that healthy energy of the universe flowing into you. And as you breathe into the palms of your hand, imagine that breath is energy. And then close. Sorry, I'm distracted by the gardeners. Perfect timing, right? Cross your hands and put your hands back on your heart and just breathe that in, getting grounded and balanced, closing down that heart chakra. Thank you, Judy, and thank all of you for joining us today. Getting balanced and grounded back in our bodies. Have a great week, everyone. You are important to the world, and go out there and connect with nature, and you'll find just how important you are, every single one of you. Thank you. Take care, and we'll see you next week.